What's up guys? In this video, you're going to be learning how to turn your emotions into a game. Now, if you want to have success in poker, you've got to learn to have a healthy relationship with your emotions. And to put it bluntly, a lot of poker players don't. They have a very toxic relationship with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with them. And as a result, they end up just blowing stuff up and just spending most of their poker careers battling against their emotions and never getting anywhere. Because what happens is, emotions are just energy expressing itself. It's the heart expressing itself. And we don't like that as poker players. We're very intellectual. We use the logical part of our brain. So when emotion comes to the surface, we're like, get out of the way. Why is this emotion coming? And we try to use logic to overcome an emotional response. But we can't do that. And the reason we can't is because emotions are language of the heart, which speaks in feelings. So imagine the heart speaking Chinese, and the brain is speaking logic. Imagine the brain speaking English. And what happens is when emotion tries to express itself, if we can't handle that emotion, we tighten up and cling onto it. We close down. And as a result, the mind goes, I'll fix this. What's going on there with this emotion? I'll solve this problem. As soon as the mind gets involved and tries to solve an emotional problem with its intellect, all hell breaks loose. It's a Chinese riddle trying to get solved in English. It's got no chance. The logical brain cannot solve emotional problems. So, what's the better way of dealing with this? How can we get past this and actually get some progress with our emotional responses? So one thing is to realize the power of perspective. How you treat your emotions is the lens that you see through. So what happens if you were to look at your emotions like they were a battle that you had to face? Every day you go to battle with your emotions. That's what most people think of it subconsciously. How would that make you feel? It make you feel like tense, you want to fight, you want to go to war, it's win at all costs, it's serious, it's a different feeling, right? You want to battle against them and you want to overcome the nemesis, which is your emotions. And if you're battling your emotions, you create resistance and the mind gets involved and all of a sudden you can't handle emotional problems. So treating your emotion like a battle doesn't work. But what happens if we turned the perspective and before we started our session, we went, I'm going to start treating my emotions like a game. What does a game refer to? What are some things that come to mind when you think of a game? Fun, playful, enjoyable, winnable. It's different feelings, right? So thinking through a game lens rather than a battle lens gives us a bit of breathing room, gives us that initial way to deal with it. So I want to challenge you guys to start thinking of your emotions as a game. Not a battle, not something to overcome, not something to suppress, not something to battle past, something that's a game. And I want you to be curious about them. I want you to be curious about your emotions. So can you do that for me? Can you guys take on a little experiment with me to see if this is going to work and see if it's going to be effective? So next session you go down to play poker, I want you to have the lens of, okay, my emotions are going to be a game and I'm going to treat them that way. I'm going to be curious about them. I'm going to pick one emotion. So step one, pick one emotion that you want to focus on. Could be fear, could be anger, could be frustration. Pick one emotion that you're going to be curious about and you're going to play the game with. All right? As you're playing poker, I want you to stay conscious and I want you to keep score of how many times that emotion comes up. Let's say it's fear. Every time you have a thought or a feeling that feels fearful, tally down on the chart, okay? So we're playing a game. We're trying to get attention. We're trying to get curious of it. No judgments, okay? This is the key. No judgment, just getting curious. Then, once you're doing that, I want you to score down how intense the emotion is out of 10. Is it 1 out of 10? Is it 5 out of 10? Is it 10 out of 10? How intense is the emotion? We're playing a game, being a detective, being curious. No pressure on it. Don't judge yourself if it's a 10. Don't judge yourself if it's a 5. Just score it down. Then I want you to write down what thoughts go with it. What thoughts go with the emotion? Now, if it's an intense emotion like anger or even fear occasionally, maybe you can't do this in the heat of battle, or maybe you're playing too many tables. Maybe you can do this after. So if this is too much to do whilst you're playing because either you've lost your emotional center or you're just playing too many tables, do this after your session. So write down how many times, tally it up, how many times you've had the emotion. Next thing is the intensity of the emotion. Then you want to write what thoughts you're having. What are you thinking? Because the emotional thoughts are directly linked. Often we'll feel something, then the thoughts will go into this spiral back. Or we think something and we feel something. It's like a back and forth relationship. So what thoughts are you having? What thoughts are you having around that situation? Write them down. We're playing detective here. So you've got that. Then you want to write what events triggered it. What events triggered your emotional response? Was it that you lost to a fish? Was it that you've been losing all day or all week and you just can't do anything right? Was it that you made a mistake? and you hate making mistakes because you know you should do better. Write down the events that triggered it. So now we've got this full view, right, of what's happened, and there's no judgment. There's nothing to do now, right? Okay, you've got the information, you've written it all down. Like I said, for a lot of you guys, you may have to do this as a reflecting exercise after the game's finished. So now what do? You go, okay, Adam, I've got all these. I got fearful 14 times today. There were mixing intensities. My thoughts were, I can't win. I hate losing. I don't want to keep this downswing going. Some of the events that caused it were opponents getting lucky, me making mistakes. Okay, now what? So now we've done that. At the end of your session, this is where the powerful thing comes in. I want you to sit down. I want you to look over what you've wrote down, get it clear in your head, some of the events. Pick a couple of them that really caused you trouble today. Then I want you to close your eyes and I want you to go back into that situation. And I want you to replay the situation unfolding, but, there's a key but, I want you to watch it as an observer. So I want you to watch yourself from a viewpoint. Okay, so it could be from the side angle, could be from behind, could be from the front, but you're gonna watch yourself as if you're somebody else, as if you're watching a movie of yourself. And I want you to watch your reactions. I want you to replay that situation that happened, that caused the event, and I want you to note what is going on in your body. Are you tensing up? Are you getting angry? Are you starting to sweat? Are you getting tense? So when I did this myself and I was working for my own tilt problems, what I noticed was I tightened up my shoulders. I'm watching myself, just as like I'm watching a movie, and I noticed myself tensing up in this visualization. I noticed my palms getting a bit sweaty. I noticed myself getting a little bit, wanted to click quicker, wanted to like bit further forward, a bit more into my computer, like trying to force things. So I could see all these things that were happening. Then I could say, what feelings was I having? I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling tightened up. So you can see the emotional response now. So you can see it happening. And what's happening here is when we go for an emotional experience, we're too absorbed in it, right? So one of the troubles with making mindset progress is we're too in the feelings. So this is why we can't often give ourselves good advice. But if we remove ourselves after the fact and we reflect on it and we watch ourselves, we're now playing a different role called the observer. Have you guys noticed that you can probably give better advice to a friend than you can to yourself? Why is that? Because you're the observer, right? You observe them from the outside. You can give good advice from the outside. When you're on the inside, everything's a bit stormy. It's a lot of validity with the energy levels and the emotions. It's a bit too heated. But if you take the observer view, you can make great progress. So get used to viewing yourself. So view back those scenarios. And then once you've done that, write down, what did you see? Write down, what did you see? I saw myself tensing up. I saw myself getting angry. I felt these emotions start to stem up. What thoughts was I having? And then I want you to write, what would you do differently in future? What would you do differently in future? If you're in that situation in the future, what would you do? What advice as this observer would you give to yourself? This is really, really important. Learning to be your own coach is super, super important in every area of life. So what advice would you give yourself? Maybe it would be like, just relax and release. I tell myself all the time, relax and release. Because when I get tense or stressed, I tense up here. So I go relax and release. So I remember myself that. What advice would you give yourself? If you're coaching yourself from the observer angle, what advice would you give yourself? Write it down. If you're in that situation in the future, what would be some cues that you could remember? What thoughts were you thinking that you could undo with a new thought pattern? Give yourself some advice. Write down some things. And get in this process. Do this every single time you play poker, every day as a reflection. What happens is you become super, super self-aware. All right? All of a sudden, you know exactly what your emotional responses are. You know exactly what your bad thought patterns are. You know exactly what emotions stem from it, what events trigger it. Awesome. Awareness is the first starting point. Then you start to watch it from an observer angle and you start to give yourself good advice. Then the next step, the final step is, can you listen to your own advice? Can you get yourself centered enough, present enough? Can you feel the energy coming up of an emotional response? And can you take your own advice that you give yourself? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you failed. Awesome. Watch it back. Why did you fail? I failed because I got too angry. If you get too angry, if the emotion's too intense, what that means is you waited too long. All right, so I just had a coaching call yesterday, and so the guy was saying, Adam, sometimes I get really angry, and I can't do any of the mindset stuff we talk about. And okay, when you're really angry, you've left it too late. If you think about anger, right, it doesn't go from 0 to 10 out of 10. It starts at 0, then a little thing will annoy you, and you go to a 2 or a 3. That's where you need to inject stuff. That's where you need to be very mindful. Watch the early signs of anger. Watch the early signs of fear. That's where you can inject logic. That's where you can change your thought patterns. That's where you can let the emotion pass through. As soon as it comes to full rage, yeah, it's too late. So work on, dealing with your responses. And this is a really, really good process. Change your perspective. Start thinking of your emotions as a guide. Your emotions are guiding you towards future actions. But they're basically going, This is the things I have trouble with. Can I handle it? Yes or no? And this is where your mindset development needs to work with your emotions and dealing with them in real time. And soon, if you get really good at this, you can be the observer in real time. You don't need to watch it after. You can watch as it's happening. You can see a thought come up, emotional response stem in, and you go, oh, I'm starting to get angry now. Oh, I can see a thought popping up. Don't like those. I'm just gonna let them pass through. Diffuse them. And that's the superpower. So work on this. It takes a long time to get really good at this stuff, but it's super, super powerful. Make it part of your daily routines, and you'll have amazing progress. If you start working in this area, I expect you to drop a comment below at some point going, Adam, this works, it's really powerful, and yeah, it will change your poker life. So to summarize the process, here's what you need to do. First of all, make your emotions a game. This is the intention you set before you start your session. Be curious, make them fun, make it playful. Then you need to observe your thoughts non-judgmentally. Very key that you're non-judgmental. Just watch them. Watch your emotions come up. Then you need to track how often they come up. Keep a tally chart of how often a certain emotion comes up. Pick one emotion to focus on per session. It could be the same emotion for a period of time, but no more than one session at one time. Then you've got to keep track of what thoughts / events triggered your emotional responses, and also how intense they were. So what thoughts and events are triggering them, and how intense. Was it a 5 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10? Then, after your session, I want you to watch them back. I want you to visualize and watch back a replay in your head of the situation. I want to watch yourself going through that situation as an observer. So in this, you zoom out, you look at yourself going through the motions as an observer, and you're not involved in it. And this allows you to see yourself and give yourself good advice. And then finally, what did you learn? What did you see in the visualization? What did you learn from the process? And what can you do better next time you're in that situation? So, thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed this, there's a good chance you'll like the quiz I put for you in the comments. It will tell you what level your poker mindset is right now. If you do that, I'll give you some free advice on how to take it to the next level. Thanks for watching, guys. Plenty more coming from me very soon. Smash the like button before you go so that I know to produce more videos like this for you, and there'll be plenty more coming from me very soon.